Hello, my name is Hanif Arizal Sidik.
My name is Rafsa Windy Sinaga.
Hello, my name is Helmi Yahya Rahma Aji.
Hello, my name is Karanum Jana.
Hello, my name is Febrina Nurhanisa Putri.
Hello, my name is Aden Karta Everanto.
And we are from Group 4. We are going to present Uganda as an example of the poorest country in the world. Uganda is a landlocked country in East Central Africa, west of Kenya, and east of Democratic Republic of the Congo. And its coordinates is 100 north and 3200 east.
Uganda's national anthem is O Uganda, Land of Beauty, and their motto is Forget and My Country, or Kwa Mungu Nanchi in Swahili. Its flag consists of 6 equal horizontal bands of black on top, yellow, red, black, yellow, and red on the bottom. A white disc is superimposed at the center, and depicts the national symbol, that's a gray crown crane facing the hoist side. And then Uganda use Ugandan shilling as a currency. Uganda is led by Yoweri Museveni, and Uganda was independent from United Kingdom in 9 October 1962. And one of the most recognized in the world is search of the first longest river in the world, that is the Nile, where the Nile is located in Uganda, precisely in Jinja. In addition, the country of Uganda also have several national parks that home to a variety of plants, birds, and a variety of exotic wildlife too. And one of the most well-known park is the Queen Elizabeth National Park, which is located in western of Uganda. And the history of Uganda comprises the history of people who inhabit the territory of present-day Uganda before the establishment of the Republic of Uganda, and the history of that country once it was established. Evidence from the evidence for the Paleolithic era shows humans have inhabit Uganda for at least 50,000 years, and the forests of Uganda were gradually cleared for agriculture by people who probably spoke Bantu language. And then in 1894, Uganda became a protector of the British Empire. And then in 1962, Britain grants independence to Uganda. Idi Amin deposed Milton Obote in 1971 to become a ruler of Uganda, a position he would occupy until he was ousted in 1979. 79 as a result of Uganda and Tanzania war. After a series of the other leaders, Yoweri Museveni come to power in 1986 and has led Uganda since the time.
Okay, I will start my presentation about Uganda population. And the total population of Uganda is approximately 42 million according to the 2019 revision of the World Population Prospect. And this number has grown rapidly since the country gained its independence in 1962, when it was approximately 7 million, most of the population is young, and the proportions are 48.1%, it's below the age of 15, and 49.5%, it's for age 15 until 65 years older, and 2.5% for 65 years older. Uganda's birth rate in 2019 was 42.4% births 1,000 population. According to the WHO, in 2019, life expectancy is Uganda was for male is 60.2 and female 64.8, and for total life expectancy is 62.5, which gives Uganda a world life expectancy ranking of 159, and Uganda is also home to 1 million refugees from its neighboring countries, particularly South Sudan for 68% and Democratic Republic of the Congo for 24.6%. There are many ethnic groups in Uganda, such as the Baganda, the Bazoga, Banyankole, Bagiga, Iteso, Langi, and others. And the Baganda make up the largest ethnic group in Uganda. They represent 17% of the population. The seconds are the Bazoga. The Bazoga make up approximately 8% of the population. There are also South Asians, Yoruba, Arabs in Uganda. In Uganda, there are two official languages, Swahili and English. There are other 32 languages and for then initially English was the only official language until 2005. Then Swahili was approved as its second official language. Swahili is also widely spoken in some African nations. Swahili was considered as official language for its country integration purpose. However, some Ugandans are unpopular with Swahili since they think its language for dictatorship in the past. There are indigenous languages such as Alur, Kanda, Lukbara, Masaba, Rwanda, Nyankole. Most Ugandans are Roman Catholics, which make up 39% of the population, followed by the Protestant, mostly Anglicans, which make up 32% of the population. Islam, which make up 13.7% of the population, and the rest are traditional religious, like in many parts of Africa, but Christianity and Islam have been syncretized with traditional religious traditions.
Hello, my name is Helmi Yahya Rahmazi. In this moment, I want to be talking about how poor is Uganda, the factors and the policies related to poverty in Uganda. Uganda is one of the most beautiful countries in Africa. Despite all the beauty, until now the country of Uganda is still one of the list of poor countries in the world. The economic conditions of the majority of the population are still below the poverty line. The factors causing poverty in Uganda are caused by many problems, especially internal conflicts, the political conflicts that happened in the past. This far from good political situation has led to several problems, especially poverty. In 2013, it was reported that only 1% of Uganda's gross domestic product, or GDP, was spent on social security. Due to this lack of social security, 35% of Ugandans rely on their life savings and 25% rely on their family. This makes falling back into poverty highly likely for a majority of people. Diseases are another cause of poverty in Uganda. Infant and child mortality rates remain high, with 131 deaths per 1,000 births. Families in Uganda are often large, with a lack of finances and resources. Larger families are highly likely to fall below the poverty line. Agriculture contributed to 79% of poverty reduction in Uganda between 2006 and 2013, but there is still much room for improvement. Though a large portion of the population earns its livelihood through agriculture, there is still an excess in labor opportunities. Further improvement in productivity of agriculture is necessary to provide more work and bring people out of poverty. Due to high dependency on work in agriculture and the informal sector, there is a lack of skilled labor among Ugandans. Without skilled labor, it is challenging for Uganda to obtain important non-monetary resources and narrow subsistence options. This also causes a deficiency in forward mobility, which preserves poverty. The second factor is due to so many refugees from its neighboring countries to Uganda, which disrupts its economic and social conditions. And the third factor is Uganda's government has several corrupt politicians. However, Ugandan government has made several policies to reduce poverty. The first is National Development Plan 1, or NDP 1, in 2010 until 2011. It was created to eradicate poverty in Uganda. It replaced the Poverty Eradication Action Plan. The NDP-1 focused on primary health sectors that provide direct products and services, and these include agriculture, tourism, oil and gas, manufacturing, forestry, mining, and etc. Secondly, it focused on complementary sector, which provides infrastructural support to the products. These include transport, energy, water, trade, and financial services. In June 2015, the government of Uganda and United Nations Developmental Assistance launched the NDP-2 to guide Uganda's path to poverty eradication. NDP-2 aims to strengthen the country's competitiveness for sustainable wealth creation, employment, and inclusive growth through increasing sustainable production, productivity, and value addition in key growth opportunities, increasing the stock and quality of strategic infrastructure to accelerate the country's competitiveness, and enhancing human capital development for strengthening mechanisms for quality, effective, and efficient service delivery. But inequality between the rich and the poor at various levels of the society remains a challenge, as is shown by the high inequality index measured by the G, currently over 50%. Challenges highlighted by the first National Development Plan continue to exist. These include slow growth in agricultural and industrial sector, the productivity growth in agriculture, mediation of capital by capital markets, and the primary dominance of primary over industrial products. Uganda has achieved remarkable results in reducing poverty over the past decades. mainly driven by the agriculture sector. From 1992 to 2013, the percentage of Ugandan households living in poverty was halved, but vulnerability to external shocks remain high. For every 3 Ugandans who get out of poverty, 2 fall back in. All Uganda's region registered an increase in the number of poor persons, with the notable exception of the northern region, which is the poorest, where poverty decreased from 44% to 33%.
And now, the next thing we're gonna talk of Uganda is about the advantages and the disadvantages of the country. But before we get there, before we talk about that, let me just gotta remind you all again that, like, we all have already known that so many countries, or maybe majority of the countries, or even all of the countries in Africa, are still living in poverty until now. And Uganda is also one of the countries that is still struggling to become a developed country, that they are still living in poverty as well until now. And well, that means, by being a poor country means it is a serious issue. It is a very serious problem. There are so many problems that a poor country has to face more than the developed ones. And the problems are caused by due to maybe the lack of the country's management in managing the natural resources that can support the life of the citizens, because maybe the lack of financial support, or maybe the lack of the human resources to support the country to become a developed one. But despite all that, despite of being a poor country, there must be also so many aspects and so many factors that can be counted as the advantages of the country. It means there must be so many helpings that a poor country has been receiving all this time from so many countries, or even like international organization to support the country. And one of the advantages is for Uganda, specifically, is that Uganda is always given help by many parties. And also, Uganda has been receiving financial support from World Bank in helping the development of its country. And also, there are so many funds flowing into Uganda that it might be what we might call as a gain for the country. And also, aside from financial supports that Uganda has been receiving all this time, there are also many kinds of assistance that Uganda has been receiving from several countries, not only in financial aspects, but also Uganda also has been receiving a lot of humanitarian assistance, because Uganda is one of the countries that has so many refugees from neighboring countries, and it causes so many problems for the countries. So yeah, Uganda has been receiving humanitarian assistance for help. And also, Uganda has been one of the world's top 8 receivers for several decades. According to the data, that between 2018 and 2012, that the country received more than $16 billion in official development assistance, or ODA, ranking them as the 13th largest recipient worldwide. And also, the ratio of aid to GDP peaked at 19% in 1992 and has remained around 10% over the last 2 decades. I think that aspects can be counted as a gain or the advantages that Uganda has been receiving that actually can support the household of the country and supporting the country to develop into developed countries.
So the disadvantage of being a poor country, despite record investment over the past 5 years, Uganda's healthcare performance is still ranked as one of the worst in the world by the World Health Organization. The country is ranked 186th out of the 191 nations. A Ugandan's health and life expectancy is among the lowest across the globe. In Uganda, 1 in every 200 births ends the mother's life, and around 1 million people are living with the HIV. So between 2003 and 2012, the country received more than 16 billion US dollar in official development assistance. And despite all the foreign aid Uganda has been receiving, it does not quickly solve all the problem in the country because it may be caused by a corrupt act done by some officials, and nowadays Ugandans are unlikely still living in poverty.
Poverty is the lack of a sufficiency of money to meet the basic needs, including food, clothing, and shelter. And poverty can be measured in monetary terms based on the monthly or annual expenditure of a given individual. So, however, poverty is more than the mere lack of money. It is also about deprivation in other important areas of well-being, such as education, health, water, and housing. And poverty is a dynamic process of social, economic, cultural, political, or other deprivation which affects individual or community. And according to the World Bank, it identified 6 categories of people and vulnerable in the Ugandas as orphans, street children, handicapped, female head household or widows, older people and their dependents, and the landless peasants. So in Uganda, the Participatory Poverty Assessment, or the PPA, studies out that the elderly as one of the group worst hit by the poverty and who are therefore chronically poor. The aspects is including the lack of social support, feeling of negativity, frustration, and powerless because of no one has source of life. So the elderly people in Uganda are more likely to spend much longer periods in poverty because of the low incomes, assets, and saving, which is obviously linked to their sources of income. And rapid depletion of the small saving made during the working years, mainly because the income earned themselves were small and the impact of the inflation on the saving which reduced their real value. Progress in reducing poverty has been much slower in northern and eastern Uganda, and thus the concentration of poverty is higher in these 2 regions. The proportion of the total number of the poor people who live in the northern and the eastern region is increased between 2006 and 2013 from 68% to 84% according to the report. Also, households in Uganda's northern, eastern, and western region have much lower level of human capital, fewer assets, and more limited access to services and infrastructure than households in the central region. A household in Uganda remained vulnerable. In fact, between 2005 and 2009, for every 3 Ugandans who were lifted out of the poverty, 2 fell back because of the limited availability of the safety net program.
I try some? I already had some. They're very salty. They're quite a delicacy.
Oh, yum.
So,
Yeah, that's so good.
you want to have one? Okay. Take a bite there. Jared,
Jared's gonna have some.
you want some?
So delicious.
I'm gonna pass this time.
Oh my god.